Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I'm losing my voice from my allergies, I think. So the allergies in Indiana right now are horrible, and so I chose to sit outside to do a video today. No, but this is my patio, and if you watch my vlog, you know that I've been talking about how I really want to make this patio like a really nice, comfortable place this summer. I want to have a lot of plants out here. You can see the waterfall that I have back there, a water fountain, and I want to get a couple more of them, and I just want to make this place really peaceful, really tranquil. I want to sit out here and be able to read. I want to film a lot of videos out here. I will probably be filming a lot of the Peterisms videos out here this year, so I'm really excited about that. Okay, you can see my image in the background over there. Let's get into today's meditations that I'm going to read, and they are from a book that I don't know if I've ever even read one from this on here, but if I have, it's been a really, really long time. And that is from, and I got this at Half Price Books, Meditations for Living in Balance by Ann Wilson Schaff, and I will link this in my Amazon store if anybody's interested in it. It may be over there already, but I don't believe that it is. And I just flipped through here and I read today's, and it was okay. It just wasn't a great. Here, I'll tell you what it was today, because I was going to read today's. It's about uniqueness. But I went back and I picked two out. One is from March 31st about making assumptions, and the other one is from February 13th about struggling. And I thought these were two really, really good meditations about things to talk about on here. So if we have enough time, I will read, which means that this is not a super long video. I will go and read today's meditation as well. All right, February 13th, struggling. Strugglers like to feel that the struggle is noble, that somehow God is pleased with them for struggling. If you were God, you would fall over laughing at that one. Stuart Wilde. Ah, the nobility of struggling. Are you a struggler? Do you see yourself as a struggler? Are you one of those people who believe that life is hard and that anything that comes easily to you must be suspect? Take another look. Are you actually contributing to the struggling by believing in struggle? We can do that, you know. Belief is a very powerful motivator and determiner of events. Thinking doesn't exactly make it so, and it goes a long way as a contributor to struggling. I have known people with very difficult lives who don't struggle, and I have known people with lives that could be very easy who make a struggle out of everything. It's so true. The choice is ours. When you find yourself struggling, stop to determine whether you are contributing to the struggle. What is your attitude? What could you do differently? How is your attitude towards struggle related to your attempt to control people, person, things, and events over which you have no control? See what happens if you give up struggling and simply approach the issue as a task or situation to be dealt with. I think it's really interesting, and I don't know why, but my mind is going to like financial struggles, because I think that's something that many of us relate to, and that, you know, we talk about how we're really, really struggling with finances, or I don't have enough money for this, or, you know, on and on and on. And I can remember after I got sober in my early 20s, when, you know, I was trying to make it on one income, and when I was in a relationship, neither one of us were making a lot of money, and we just couldn't do a lot of stuff. And both of my parents at separate times talked about when they had first got together and how they were really financially struggling, and, you know, that they just, neither one of them made very good money. My dad was in his medical residency, and my mom was an elementary school teacher at the time, and they just didn't, either one of them, make a lot of money. And I can remember both of them talking about how it was some of the best times of their entire life were when they were the poorest, because, you know, that like small little things that they got to go do, like going out to dinner like once a week, was something that they really looked forward to. Or they had to make, you know, do with what they had, and they had to figure out ways to, you know, so like they would go, and, you know, my mom loved, in her entire life, she loved to like go to like antique, you know, malls and, you know, thrift stores and things like that, and repurpose furniture and whatever. And so, you know, like that was a big deal back then, was like, how can we make our space look really, really great with less money, because we don't have the money, but like, hey, I like this picture and, you know, this magazine that I saw, I want to have that. How can I do that with less money? And creativity came out, and them working together came out. And, you know, I have to say, like, I've talked a lot about this on my vlog, but when my husband and I were really dealing with getting rid of some debt, and we were really struggling financially, those were some of the greatest times for us, you know, because we still wanted to go to date nights. And so we would go to Applebee's once a week, which they had the 2 for $20, and I think they still do, you know. And we would like find other ways to save money, and it was just it was a really strong bonding period for us. And it also taught us that we could get through anything. And I think like You know, because a lot of couples fight over money, and we had made a decision at that point that we were not going to fight over money ever. And, you know, I think it's all in how you look at it. So I do agree with that it's a choice, you know, when we're struggling with things. And I think, like, here's the thing that it gets tricky is when people are having physical illnesses and things like that. That's really, really difficult, right? But it's interesting because whenever I'm, like, sick or I'm, like, losing my voice or something and I want to go and complain about it, I always, like, TED Talks will be recommended to me. And it's always, like, some young kid who has, like, some horrible physical issue, and they don't let it stop them from what they want to do with their lives. And I'm always like, okay, like, are you sending this to me at this moment to be motivated and to be inspired to realize that my struggle is really not that difficult in the grand scheme of things? And I have to remember that there is always somebody out there that has it 100 times worse than I do, 1,000 times worse than I do, you know? And literally, as I'm sitting here right now and I'm making this video, there are hundreds of thousands of people that are, you know, dying from malnutrition, and they don't have clean water, and they don't have food, and, you know, I have to remember that and be very, very grateful that that is not my circumstance just because I was born in another area to other people, you know? Like, I need to kick in with my gratitude a little bit, and then the choice is a little bit easier. So that's about struggling. And then the next one I want to read is about making assumptions. And this is from March 31st. I think this is a great meditation. Assumptions are dangerous things. Agatha Christie. Assumptions can be very dangerous, especially when we act on them without checking them out. I thought you were finished, so I cleared the table and cleaned off your plate. I thought you weren't interested, so I went ahead without you. I thought you were going to leave this relationship anyway, so I let you go. I've heard it said that assumptions are premeditated resentments, and I believe it's true. I just assumed you wanted to go, so I said yes. I assumed you're going to bed with me with some kind of commitment. Since you didn't get back to me right away, I assumed you thought I wasn't the right person for the job. How easy it would be to check out our assumptions before acting upon them. A simple phone call, a visit, a fax, or an email would be enough. Wars, personal and international, have been started over unchecked out assumptions. We need to be very careful about assuming anything about anything. Check out your assumptions. Try to take one day and be aware of your making assumptions and or acting on them. Look at the results. This assumption making may be something you need to consider. I think it's such a great, you know, meditation. I have in my life made assumptions about many people, and I have also had assumptions made about me by many people. And, you know, it's interesting in how we deal with that, I think. You know, like, have you ever had, like, an argument with a friend of yours, or you, like, think there's going to be an argument, and you script the whole conversation out in your head all over an assumption that you've made, and then you get there, and you, like, have some small conversation, you realize that what you assumed was not the case anyway? You know, and I think that happens often in life, is that, you know, we hear something or we see something and we make an assumption based off of it, which there may be no truth to that whatsoever. And then we base our opinions upon that person or that situation or that event on these assumptions that there is no merit to begin with, you know? And it's interesting, and when I look back on my life, like, I think that one of the things that's been really interesting to me is that I'm not a person anymore that makes snap judgments about people when I meet them. I used to say that I was, like, really good at judging people. You know, when people say that, because I would feel like some, like, immediate response to people when I meet them. But the reality is, I've learned over time, is that I give horrible first impressions. Like, my social anxiety really kicks in. I get very, very nervous around people. And so it almost comes across as kind of cold, which I'm not that way at all. Like, you know, I just am. I'm not. But it takes me getting comfortable and getting, you know, being around people for a while, being used to being around people for a while, for me to break out of that shell. And so I don't make assumptions about people anymore, because I don't want people to make assumptions about me. And, you know, I always give people the benefit of the doubt. If something happens between us, I always hear them out. Why wouldn't I? You know, am I that quick to give away a friendship? Am I that quick to give away a relationship? Am I that quick to not give somebody the benefit of the doubt when I would want somebody to give me the benefit of the doubt? And I try to live my life that way today, you know. I try to live my life, you know, by the golden rule: do unto others as I would have them do unto me. And I think it's, you know, many of these lessons that we learn in kindergarten before we ever get on the school bus for first grade, you know. And today I really try not to do that, and I try to allow other people to I like when people prove me wrong too. Do you know what I mean? Like when in your head you think a certain way and you're like, no, but that can't be, that can't be. Like, and then you realize that, like, I mean, I'm talking about people that like we don't really know very well, you know? And then you meet them and you realize that they are like one of the kindest, most giving people in the entire world, and maybe that wasn't your assumption at all, you know? I think we make assumptions about people based on what they have, or what car they drive, or what house they live in, or what kind of trips they take, when in reality that doesn't really say much about anybody whatsoever. I think the beating of their heart is what says a lot. So I think that's a good meditation as well. And then since we're down here, why don't we just read today's uniqueness, April 22nd. Each of us is unique. Each of us is a unique individual. Not only are we unique to begin with, the experience we have in living can never be duplicated by anyone else. We are a unique combination of the DNA of our ancestors and the experiences we have created and lived each day of our lives. I wish I had my phone right now because it's inside and I'm uploading a video. But I just got an email from somebody asking me to talk about this. And I'll probably talk about this more at length because I got the email. They asked me to talk about how each of our specific lives, each of our specific journeys are completely separate and different to the next person. So to compare our lives to somebody else is absolutely pointless. And I really, really struggle with that, you know? Like, I mean, I feel like I have periods where I go through like 6 months and I do great. And I'm like, no, my journey is completely different, you know? But then like, I see a friend of mine and like a friend of mine, like, you know, I don't know, like I have a pretty amazing life, so I can't complain. But I'll see a friend of mine and I'll think, it's not even like I wish, it's not a jealousy or envy thing. It's more like, why am I not there? You know, like I'll have a friend of mine and they'll be like, oh, we're getting a new house. I'm like, you are? And you know, they're like, yeah, we like sold our house. I'm like, well, you had a 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom house. Why do you need to sell it? And I'm like, Alex and I live in this condo, and then they like upgrade to a bigger house. I'm like, okay, we're the same age. Like, what did I do wrong with my life? You know what I mean? But it's not about that. And the thing is that I wouldn't even live in a 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom house if I could. You know what I mean? I like, that would not be my choice. So I have to realize that my journey is completely different to anybody else's, and that to compare my life to somebody else, I'm going to lose by comparison. And I think the other thing is, what I started getting over the years is when, you know, I would compare myself to people that had, you know, conventional 9-to-5 jobs, let's say. And then they would come to me and they'd be like, you have the coolest life. Like, you know, you make your own hours, you get to go into the office when you want to, you can take off time when you want to. And, you know, and I would think like, I really kind of do, you know, like, and I didn't see it that way until other people were comparing their lives to me, because I never imagined that anybody would compare their life to me. Why would they want to? You know what I mean? And that's, I think, all perception and how we see see ourselves. And I think that life is pretty much like 80%, 90% perception, and 10% of what really happens to us. Okay, because of our uniqueness, each and every one of us is responsible for the balance that is necessary to make the whole. The universe is like a big puzzle in which every part of creation has a place. When we fail to take our place, there is a hole in the universe. As we take our place, we become part of the whole and realize that while we're unique, we are also part of a whole that is much greater than ourselves. With these two realizations of our uniqueness and of our being an integral part of a greater process, we achieve a sense of inner balance. Today, express your uniqueness and your connectedness in what you do. Come up with a new idea or a new way of doing something, then reflect on it and see how it builds on gifts you have learned from others. I love that. So maybe for today, you know, think through like, what's something that's really different about you? What's something that's really unique about you? What's something that inside your soul beats so strong that it makes you different? You know, is it the kind of music that you listen to? Is it some kind of craft that you like to do? Is it something that typically those things that are so different about us, that make us so unique and so beautiful inside, are the things that we steer away from because they also make us, I don't know, like nervous, or we're embarrassed of, because when we exude those things, you know, they're the things that people notice are different about us. And so sometimes being unique, being different is scary, and we don't want that. So what is that thing about you that makes you unique, that makes you different? And let's practice embracing that today. You know, it's like, for me, it's always like, I used to wear a lot of like beaded jewelry and like beaded bracelets and stuff, like necklaces and stuff like that. And I don't do it as much anymore because I think like, my initial thought is, okay, if I go to the grocery store, people are gonna be like, why is he wearing all this beaded jewelry? But then like I see my husband and he always does it because, you know, he just loves all that stuff. And I'm like, why did I get away from that? I mean, like, I love it and I have tons of it, you know, so I should do that. And that's just a small example of this. But, you know, I think that in embracing our uniqueness and our differences and our individuality, our real soul comes to play. And then we attract those people that are truly attracted to our soul inside. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.